welcome back to our series of interviews with viewers, brilliant members all over the world. It is really great to see Pauline and Dominique Coenen again from Expat Management Group across Benelux, but I think your offices are in Amsterdam, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've just had a tour of your offices and they are really stunning. It's really good to see you again. I think we did this about 2.5 months ago, something like that. And obviously things have just moved on enormously. But even when I spoke to you, things were quite positive right then across Benelux. How are things now? What's happening?
Would you like to start, Dominic?
Sure, Dominic, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, to Dominic.
No, yeah, sure.
Oh.
No, it's correct. So last time we spoke about the fact that it's still quite open, that it's not as a rigid system that we had in place to fight the pandemic as in some other countries. We see now that it's even opened up a little bit further. So it's almost going back to normal life, keeping in mind some social distance rules that have to be taken into account. So in that respect, it seems that a lot of people have, well, not forgotten, but it's a little bit in the distance already that there is a virus still going on, and it's actually still very dangerous in a lot of places and a very hot topic in a lot of places. Even though that in the Netherlands, the numbers, well, they're slightly going up right now as we speak because of the people not taking care of the social distances anymore as they should. But overall, we're in a good shape, I guess.
I'm so pleased to hear that, because again, when we spoke before, it was interesting how, the Netherlands governmental approach was very, less lockdown, more trusting, allowing people to do the right thing. So tell me, what about things? I mean, do you have to wear masks? How are things?
Yeah, we don't have to wear masks in the street. They ask us to do it if we feel that it becomes too crowded, because the only thing we really need to respect is the 1.5 meters distance. And that applies in every location. So it's in restaurants, but also on terraces. You need to sit at a table. As long as you have a table and then some chairs, you're fine with your own group. And then 1.5 meters distance from the other smaller group. But we don't have to wear masks in shops, like in Spain, for example. We're free to go to the gym. I think, yeah, we hardly wear it, only in public transport. So the train, in buses and in the tram and metro. But everybody was waiting at the platform. It's a really funny view, because everybody's standing there and being too close to each other, of course, because as Dominic said, we're not very careful anymore. We're a little bit too relaxed, I think, and everybody's now worried about it, that it will go wrong. But as soon as we enter then the train, we need to put on our protection. The fine for it is 95 euros, so everybody does pay attention to that. And then, well, when people are sitting in the train, then usually they put it down a little bit again, because it's really annoying to have it on all the time. So I think the mentality here is that we're not very afraid anymore, which is a little bit dangerous. True.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because again, as we've been doing this cultural research project about how people have responded, and the results that are coming in are very interesting. And certainly there is something very cultural about how people responded in the first place. But now, as you say, as things are improving, we all kind of want to get back to normal so quickly that maybe, like you say, our psychology is let's be normal again. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we feel we deserve it, because we were so patiently waiting. So now it's time to have some freedom again, and it's yeah. But it doesn't make sense. It's not good. Yeah.
No, I think it's safe to say that Dutch people start to being Dutch again, and that is that we like to complain and have an opinion on everything and everyone. So that's the same with the COVID pandemic right now, I guess. They are reviewing and questioning on what went wrong during the crisis management. Groups are speaking out who felt left out in the government support. The questioning the gradual reopening of the shops and businesses, while others are still had to be closed for a while. So that everyone's complaining and reviewing on how can we do better next time. There is even a large group that is complaining that the Dutch economy was hit too hard or suffered too much from it. And we see demonstrations nowadays again claiming that social distancing regulations and temporary measures are a breach against personal freedom, or that some argue it's a conspiracy theory. So we get the strangest things going on right now here with people speaking out against the whole lockdown measures that have been in place the last months.
That's really interesting, isn't it? And I mean, I think probably we're going to be having those kind of conversations for the next 10 years about, you know, what happened and what we did right and what we did wrong. But it's very interesting that, again, we're sort of, it's like the people of the Netherlands have come out of this hibernation, and now it's time to A, get back to normal, and B, figure out what has happened and where we go from here.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So tell me, how are things with Expat Management Group? Are things starting to move, but first of all, what's happening? Who can come into the Netherlands right now?
Oh, that's a good one for Dominic.
Yes, it is. So we've seen a number of developments the last month. First of all, most of Euro members who are involved in EU immigration know that there is a recommended list announced earlier this month, provided by the European Commission, with the names of the countries that should be allowed to enter the EU and the Schengen area again. It's a relatively small list, and it's really difficult for a country to get on the so-called safe list because the COVID-19 situation in that country should be under control to a similar level or even better than we have here on average in Europe. Nonetheless, it was a first step in reopening the borders for the Netherlands, well, the Benelux, but also the rest of Europe, even though the countries themselves could decide whether they would adhere to the recommendation. The Netherlands did, at least, and Belgium also. What we also see is that Dutch embassies and consulates are also gradually reopening, albeit with limited time slots or sometimes only accessible for priority appointments. Or we have interesting, or it's funny actually, it's funny cases where we have to go to the Facebook group of a Dutch embassy in South Africa, for instance, to get appointments, because on the official website they're still closed. So we have to find these ways to get people to their appointments abroad. But nevertheless, it's gradually reopening, which is very good. Also, which has been decided a few weeks back also on an EU level, but has especially turned out to be very beneficial for the Netherlands, is that travelers from countries that are not on the safe list can still enter and reside in the Netherlands under certain conditions. And it specifically concerns highly skilled employees. So highly skilled migrants, intra-company transfers, researchers, students, and of course the family members that accompany them. Even though while they are coming from a hot zone or a country that is still on the restricted list, they can still enter the Netherlands and complete immigration formalities, which has been quite a burden on the highly skilled migrant. Well, the need for those employees to come to the Netherlands, which was, as we mentioned last time, at least from outside to Europe, come to almost a full stop. Another very recent development, actually very welcome development to some, is that unmarried partners that are in a exclusive yet long distance relationship coming from outside the EU can now, on the conditions again, come to the Netherlands and be united again with their counterparts. And that is actually very great news to a lot of people, meaning that even though they are limited in staying here for a maximum amount, and that if they're coming from a hot zone, they have to do some home quarantine, they were completely left out of any plan. But now, due to a plea of a large group of these, people who had their love outside the Netherlands, they could finally now make a plan now that they can come to the Netherlands. And that is actually something from last week. So those are the last updates that we have in the Netherlands. And you see immediately in Belgium, for instance, that they have with respect to the safe list and respect to the highly skilled employees, they have the same, overall, the overall rules. They still need to be implemented. But when you look at it from a practical level, it's quite difficult still in Belgium to get into Belgium as a highly skilled worker unless you have a blue card. or you're in a blue card situation. All the other national immigration schemes are still very difficult. Local immigration service departments are looking to each other, don't really know what to do with it. So it's quite a hassle in Belgium to manage that for our employees coming in. So you immediately see a difference between those two countries, basically. So yeah, so overall, it's good news that they're still that they're opening up the borders, and that we can again attract highly qualified personnel to the to those countries here, because we obviously need them.
It's a really big step in the right direction, isn't it? And again, it's interesting from the point of view of government policy that has been a very, it seems like a very well thought through way of looking at this. And as I've been reading, you know, what's going on, I was in touch this morning with one of our brilliant colleagues in Canada, who's saying, you know, the difference there, of course, is that, you know, what's going on between the US and Canada is, you know, more akin to what's going, you know, you've got these big differences between the Netherlands and Belgium, and, you know, the same in Canada. But Canada is saying the same. It's saying, if you are highly skilled, we're open for business. We want this growth back, and we want it back quickly.
Yeah.
So how are your teams doing, and what are they kind of doing at the moment? Have you got people back on, they're all back, or how's that working out?
Yeah, well, most of the time we still work from home, and I think everybody really got used to it. We work with GoToMeeting as a system, so not Zoom, but GoToMeeting. And we have like daily meetings in certain teams, and like a weekly meeting with the entire team, and or per project group. So it's quite intense, all those meetings, but they really work well. So and especially because our government also advises us not to use public transport if we don't have to, and still that's also the official advice, not go to the office if you don't have to. So it's good that we respect that, I think. Personally, I must say I love to go to the office once or twice a week because I need the change. I need to get out of my house and feel other vibes. I'm not living personally in Amsterdam, so just arriving in Amsterdam and walk across the canal and then enter the office is good. It's good for the energy. But we don't have to, and nobody, I mean, everybody I think will come once a week now, and we have a schedule that we agreed upon how many people are maximum allowed in the office, so that we respect the distance again. And it's already 5 months that we're in this situation. I didn't realize, in a way it does feel like 2 months, but it's really 5 months already. It's almost half a year. So you do get into a new rhythm, and I think we're all pretty much in balance, and we're all busy. It's getting busier, really busier than it has been, because you do see people entering the country again, so that's great. It's great to do the normal work. It's also great to work together with the field consultants again, because they're all waiting for work as well. So that's improving. At the same time, we did really a lot of projects here in the office that keep us busy as well. It was also nice, a luxury to spend some time on that, and also work in a different setting with your colleagues on different subjects to improve the company and the quality that we are providing. So we have not been bored. I think we've been, due to the hectic, it's also hectic, and you're out of balance and out of structure. So it's pretty exhausting in a way as well, but we're all very fulfilled with our work and happy that it's improving in a more normal way again. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter if we do that from the office or from home, because technology is so fantastic. And we're now so used to communicating like this. So if this needs to go on for a little while, I think nobody will care. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you say that about, you know, everybody's, and you're so right. Every Euromember I've spoken to has said, we've used this time productively. We've been able to change our processes, look at our processes, look at our quality management, train, all of those things have been so interesting. And you're saying the same.
Yeah, that's
never
great.
really at the time. I spoke to one of our members in Dubai who said, you know, we've been desperate to implement a whole new system in terms of technology. We've never had the time to actually concentrate fully on doing it. And it's really, for some people, this has been a great opportunity. So I'm pleased to hear
it is, eh? Yeah. And I'm lucky. I mean, we know that the office is still here. I spoke with someone who works with American Express, and they closed 2 offices. So one of them here in Amsterdam, but permanently, totally closed the offices. So all those employees, they are now expected to work from now on forever from home, because there's no sign that they need to be fired, but they just go for a new structure, work from home all the time. And I'm happy that we don't have to do that, that we know there's still office space and we can flexibly go in and out, and know that at some point we're all going to be back here, which is a lot nicer, obviously.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because we were saying before we started recording, obviously we've taken the decision to close the Euro office. Our office is small anyway, and we're a small team of 5 people. Yeah. But when you think of, those larger populations of workers who are then asked to work from home, there are real advantages and disadvantages. For some people, it's great. I have a study. This is brilliant. But if I had 3 kids and limited workspace and a laptop, I'm not sure I'd be quite so happy.
You want to get out.
Well, like you said, it's like when you go to the office and you cross the canal and you walk in the street, it's good for the soul. It's how we live our lives in a way. So being at home all the time, you have to get out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you alluded at the beginning when we were talking about, how people are reacting now, and, what is the kind of national mood in the Netherlands? Are people optimistic, or, like you say, is there a kind of like guarded, maybe it's too soon, maybe it's too fast?
Well, the first and foremost that we are now currently focused on is holiday break. So where can we go safely on a holiday? That's the whole thing right now in the Netherlands. We're all looking for, have planned, or some already on vacation. I think the difference now with other years is, well, first of all, we're very happy that we can go on holiday at all.
Yeah.
I think the difference though is that many people now have opted for a holiday in the Netherlands, as opposed that we usually take our caravan to the Mediterranean, or plan or take a plane to an exotic destination far away. So everyone's very happy and excited that we can still do something, go on a holiday or go out and about a little bit. So that's the whole thing that we are talking about right now. I think that goes for everyone. That you want to, it's a welcome surprise, I suppose, that we didn't think that it was possible when we started with this whole, with all the measures that had to be taken, and that we can still, take some time off and actually go away from home.
That's not, yeah, and I think that also what you were asking, Dominic, I think most people, we're not very positive that we will be able to continue like this, because we got a lot of information that we might get a second phase, probably somewhere in autumn. So I think everybody is just enjoying, as long as it lasts like this, just enjoy this period. I think that's what we do. Don't you agree, Dominic? I think that's what we do. We think probably it will be over in a month or in 2 months, and so let's enjoy it now. I think that's a little bit what's going on in the country.
I think if I can add to that, I think a lot of people, it's my impression at least, a lot of people are getting, Corona tired, so to speak. So so daily life is returning with some social distance measures that we need to take into account, but we really don't. If I go into a shop or a supermarket, or I take public transport, hardly anyone is keeping their distance. They just, they almost bump into you, or start coughing while taking their masks off, these type of things. So I agree with Pauline that we need to be worried that a second peak can come up sooner or later. You already see some local outbreaks. So as I said in the beginning, the number is slightly increasing again on infections. That's so we've opened up almost everything. So it's in a way also logical that it increases a bit. But we have to be wary. You see also in Belgium that there are some bigger outbreaks going on popular in popular places, and there are really some scientists in Belgium already called this the beginning of the second peak in Belgium. So we need to be wary at this point, some local outbreak, but we try to contain it as much as possible. There's a lot of discussion going on in the Netherlands about a Corona app, meaning that if you could log on to the app, you could be informed on in case you have been close to a person who has been positively tested. Well, however, there's obviously a lot to say on an app like that, especially those who are against any personal any personal information or privacy regulation concerns. They are very much against that. So we've been talking here about a Corona app for months actually, but it's still not on the market yet. So we are struggling with our personal freedoms that we take up very highly in the Netherlands, and at the same time people are forgetting that we are still in a crisis, and that in the bigger part of the world this is still very much a hot topic and infecting our daily lives, and people tend to forget that in the Netherlands. It's my impression, at least.
I think you're so right, and I think that's kind of happening, you know, where we've all been through a peak and now we're coming down the other side. I think that's happening in many places.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. I saw this morning that actually the Dutch government had said that they were going to put restrictions on certain people coming from certain places. So, for example, there was a second wave in one of our cities called Leicester. And so now people coming into the Netherlands from there have been asked to self-quarantine. And I think we'll see more of that as time goes on. Those more kind of localized restrictions.
More local restrictions. Yeah.
I would love to catch up with you again. Oh, by the way, are you going away on holiday? Have you got anything planned?
Well, I had a few days in Spain already, which...
Yes, you did. How was it? You were with family, right? Your friends?
It was very safe. It was somewhere on top of a hill in a private house. So it was not in a hotel. And so that felt really good. And it was amazing to be there. I mean, what a beautiful country. And so that was fantastic. So that's it for me for this summer. I'm going to be working very hard for the rest of the summer to make sure we make nice profits. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got some small plans, small plans, but we're going to France for a couple of days if situation allows it, because there are quite some outbreaks in the area that I want to go to, and perhaps also to Greece, but we have to take a plane for that. So still, you know, these discussions you have then at home, are we going to take the risk? Are we going to do that? Yes or no? So
very safe in a plane, huh? It's
how
very
was,
safe.
How was the flight? How was that?
My flight,
yeah.
Good. Actually, the plane was completely full.
Wow.
But they say, you know, because what they do with the air conditioning there's something in the atmosphere which is really, really safe.
Yes.
It feels a bit strange at the airport itself already. You need to wear your protection, and but yeah, it was fine. But it's packed. It's completely full, the plane. So yeah. But it looks a little bit funny if you look around you what everybody looks like. Yeah. Are you still going on holiday, Dominique?
No, actually, no. Our holiday was back in June, and that was completely cancelled. So it's fine. So I was, funny enough, I was looking today, like you. You know, the big thing in the UK is people staying within the UK. So I was just looking at cottages to rent. You know, we live in the countryside anyway. So, but the rental market for Airbnb, and you know, it's just manic. It's
great.
Sky high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The prices are incredibly high. So no, we'll stay at home. I would love to catch up with you at the end of the summer, and as we go into the autumn to see where we all are then. I mean, I hope that, like you say, we're not going to see big second waves. That what is going to be
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But if we can catch up sort of September time, that would be really great.
That would be great. Hopefully we have a vaccine by the time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very promising at the moment. So fingers crossed that stays on the right track. And in the meantime, have a great summer. If you do go away, I hope you have a great time, especially if you go to Greece. I want to know how it is, because I love Greece. And
I will
enjoy working hard. And we'll catch up at the end of the summer. That would be fantastic.
Thanks.
Excellent. Sounds like a plan.
Stay well.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Dominic. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.